Hi guys, I'm back. So I thought for this video, I've done quite a few videos on technique and production and stuff like that, and I'm going to be doing more videos on technique and production and some cover videos as well, but I haven't actually done any videos on tone, so I thought I would focus this video specifically on tone. For guitar tones, I use the Kemper profiling amplifier. I just find it's a really fantastic sort of tool for creating guitar tones. It can actually be a little bit hard to get your head around though, so this video is kind of dedicated specifically to people who are thinking about getting a Kemper profiling amp or who have one. So I'm using an Engel profile. I think it's an Engel Savage, and I just really like it. Out of all the profiles I've tried, this is one of my favourite profiles. So yeah, this is what the profile sounds like on its own. Anyway, it sounds pretty cool. I usually put a bit of a noise gate on there because that can be a little bit noisy. But it's a great profile, I really like it. The only problem with it is it's a little bit flabby. And I found this with a lot of profiles. The moment you get them, they can be a little bit flabby. The same with any kind of tube amplifier. You'll put a tube screamer before it in order to kind of give it a bit of a boost. And you can do that with Kemper. You can put a tube screamer before the amp. But I've actually found I've got better results by actually going into the actual amp itself. So what I do, you can't really see on there, but I'm gonna add another closer camera shot of the Kemper. What I tend to do is on page 2 of the amplifier section, you have clarity, and I usually find it's turned down to 0 on most profiles. Some of them have it turned on, but a lot of them have it down to 0. But if you increase the clarity, you can get a really tight modern sound, and you can start to hear the difference right away. I'm actually going to turn it up to 10 so you can really hear what it sounds like. Oh, that was a close one. So that's sounding a lot tighter, and just for reference, without. So it sounds a lot tighter with the clarity turned up, but it does take out a lot of the bottom. So I usually turn it like just over halfway, about, I think I was on 6.6 before. And you can hear right away, so you've still got the character of the amp, but you've now got the bottom end is not so flabby anymore. And another thing that you could do, which really actually helps the sound, is this thing that I learned when I was browsing the Kemper forums, and I saw someone say, if you want to make your sort of distorted tones a bit more defined, put in a bit of the direct amp. And when I saw that, it made absolutely 0 sense to me. Well, why would you blend a clean signal with a distorted sound? That's just stupid. That's ridiculous.
Why would you do that?
But they actually had a point. So I tried doing it, and just putting about 0.2 of the direct mix in makes a massive difference. So this is what it sounds like with the direct mix. And for comparison, without and with. It really makes a massive difference to the sound. And you can also do a bit of tweaking with the actual tube shape. I tend to like putting this up to about 1. That usually tends to give me a bit of that kind of really nice sort of smooth mid sound. And another thing that you can do is you can increase the pick attack or decrease it, but I like to increase it. So I usually increase it by about 1. Is it 1 or is it 0.3? It's 0.3. So you can already hear that that sounds immensely tighter, and I haven't actually had to put a tube screamer on it. I've just got a noise gate before the amp and a noise gate after the amp. They're pretty tight just to give that gent sound. And you can do a couple more things, like you can increase power sagging if you want, turn it up all the way. I don't think that's clipping. I hope it's not. You can even mess around with the cab settings. This is something which I really like, actually. The character is almost like the mic placement for the cabinet. So you can, if you like decrease the character, it sounds like it's right in the middle of the speaker, which kind of just sounds a bit... It's a bit disgusting, really. But could sound great in a sort of death metal context. But yeah, if you increase the character, it sounds like the mic is going really far away from the actual speaker, so tend to get that kind of really sort of honky sound. And I like that a little bit. I like a little bit of the room in there, but that is a bit too much. Bit too much convolution. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. It just makes it a bit too clean sounding. So yeah, I usually have that around 0.2 because that just gives me the kind of sound that I'm looking for. So it sounds like it's close enough to the speaker that the sound is actually kind of distorted. But it's also got a bit of that rounded kind of spatial sound. One thing which I find is a really big no-no is the pure cabinet. If you put on the pure cabinet, for some reason, I don't know what it is about it, on some clean tones it sounds great. On the distorted tones, it just kind of kills the energy of the amp. I don't know. I've heard a lot of other people on the Kemper forum say exactly the same thing. But to give an example, if I turn up the pure cabinet all the way, doesn't really kill the energy, but it just kills the character that, you know, so it kind of makes that character knob before it seem almost pointless. I mean, it's not too bad, but it just kind of... I just don't like it, personally. I don't like it. I like the sound of the... I mean, I don't know, it just like sounds a bit cleaner to me. Let me know if you disagree. I would be more than happy to hear other people's opinions on this, but to me it just sounds kind of a bit crappy with a pure cabinet on. But yeah, that is kind of the tone that I usually go for. And another thing I will highly recommend is, with the pure cabinet, make sure it's also turned off on the output, because for some reason on the output there is a pure cabinet tick button, and if you tick it, then it's on there forever, and it can sound really shit, so I would highly recommend you have that unticked. Essentially with the Kemper, really you don't need a tube screamer because you can just increase the clarity and that'll just tighten up the bottom end and make the high end cut through a little bit more. You can do endless tweaking with the cabinet, you can change the cabinet if you want, it just sounds really, really cool. quite a short video, but I just wanted to give any tips out to any guitarists who bought a Kemper and are struggling to get a nice tight metal tone out of it, or anyone who's thinking of buying a Kemper and wants to know how they can get that sort of tone. Just try out and just mess around with the amp settings, mess around with the clarity, mess around with the direct mix, because that is really cool. And also mess around with the tubes. You can even mess around with the tube bias if you want. It's so cool. But if you just want to get that immediate tight metal tone, just adjust it to the point that when you feel that you're playing a fast articulated section, it's actually cutting through and you can actually hear what you're playing. It's not like this flabby mess which it can turn into. But yeah, once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.